Welcome back to the Duel Alliance Podcast with your host Alicia Solomon and myself, Megan Hines, where every week we talk about the show called A Challenge. And we are at the end of the road with the Challenge 39 Battle for New Champion. We now have a new champion at the end of the season. And did he really deserve this win? Probably so. But how he got here, it was a lot of bullshit throughout the season. But this is a good final group, and that's what we can hang our hat on for the most part. The top three actually were good. Not gonna hold you. The last two people that placed were just boohoo crying the second day.
Yeah, I'm actually, I don't think it was the best contestants that we've had. I feel like two people who should have gotten there were not there, and their place in the final was taken up by people who were protected this whole time. Not saying that people didn't compete in this final, but I just don't think that it was the best that we could have gotten. Like, we've seen how all of that played out. But I will say that, you know, I mean, at least all of them finished. Like, it's very rare to see a final and see every single contestant, because I feel like we get to a point where people either just drop out, their bodies give out on them, they just cannot compete anymore physically or mentally, or they even lose at a certain checkpoint. So I think at this point we didn't even have people like not being able to not come along after a certain checkpoint. So I do think that that probably was the most impressive of all of it. It's just everyone got to the finish line and they were able to break down the winners in front of everyone and, kind of celebrate as a community. But these were not the best competitors that we've had. And we've seen why when we come to some checkpoints in this final where people were literally just doing the absolute most for the absolute worst.
And things are not like that detrimental to them as people. So that's what had me like thrown off. I'm like, you're crying over this. We'll get to the parts of it, but I'm like, come on now. But we come back into the fold from the beginning of the episode with Emmanuel picking the person to go straight to elimination, and he chose Norris. She was tearful about it because she's like, I didn't want to get to this point to just go home. I'm gonna fight, and hopefully I win the third elimination. And she does the draw, but she had to choose one of the contenders' names or a chaos where she could pick. There was like it's three contenders on the daggers and then two chaos daggers. And she just so happened to draw Mariah's name. And the elimination was just trying to fit 6 blocks into a small square in a box. And it was very tricky for them to navigate, but Nerese came out with the win and sent Mariah home in the elimination. It was very quick and very straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Nerese. I was rooting for her. Not saying that I didn't want Mariah to win, but obviously in this case, I'm gonna root for Nerese at this point in the game. And I was hoping that she could pull the chaos, but I know that would be unlikely just because everything that they had up ahead of them. But I was really hoping that she did pull the chaos just to see what that would come about if she was able to pick whoever she wanted, or have other people go at each other. I just wanted to see that last little bit of chaos happen. But Nerese came out on top, and, Emmanuel's quest to get Nerese out failed once again. The Jay Michelle plot of, trying to get Nerese out failed once again. So that's really what I was rooting for in that core of a storyline, in this elimination specifically. And then they had to not sleep. And I was cracking up because I feel like every time we get to a final, it's either some variation of, not sleeping, or even we got a couple seasons ago where one person sleep, one person wakes up, like they do half and half. So there's no partners in this. Obviously, it's all individual. So they had to continue on to do one more challenge, which seemed like it would take forever. And Corey and Emmanuel were probably the two worst in this situation, just because they could not figure out how to get those little puzzle pieces out of the wall. And they were struggling the whole time. And I'm just thinking, Nerese, you need to finish this quick, fast, in a hurry because I'm rooting for you, sis. Like, I just really wanted Nerese to just body this whole thing so that she can win. Like, honestly, it's really sick how I've turned my heel on Nerese, to be honest.
It really is. But the only person with a decent arc for the season to win was going to be Nerese. So we have to give it to her. But she did finish the wall puzzle thing first. She sabotaged everybody and took the blanket because once the top three finished, they were able to either pick a blanket, a pillow, or a chair. She took the blanket. Emmanuel finished second in that and took the pillow. And then Berna took third and ended up getting the chair. No one really, they didn't really see anybody really sit in the chair like that, but they were all like just chilling. Corey finished fourth, and then Colleen got last place right before 4 a.m. She didn't finish her thing until 4 a.m. That that took her forever to finish it. And this was very reminiscent of the first essentially challenge they did when they first got into the arena at the beginning of the season. So it's very interesting of a callback.
I very because I it's been like 85 weeks since we last it was literally last year fall when we seen this. So the fact that they brought it back up, I was kind of like I completely forgot and glad they had that little flashback to, pique my memory about it. But yeah, Colleen finishing last, she obviously got sabotaged, but I would say Colleen at least finished. Like she wasn't giving up. And I think they all had each other there to hold each other accountable to not sleep, and that's probably good for everyone because like if somebody was to doze off, you don't know what the consequences would have been. So everybody honestly truly stuck it out in this final and was holding people accountable, and they had good community around them, even though there's been a lot of sabotage and plays being made against people and things like that, but they were really holding each other together this final.
Yeah. And so when the sun came up around like 5:30, everyone was alive, yet exhausted and just waiting on TJ. TJ pulled up on them on his little jet skis, like, did y'all have a good night? They're like, no, we did not. We're just still here. But we get into the day 2 of everything, and they have to swim to an island and complete 3 checkpoints en route to the finish. This is mostly very reminiscent of the conquest of nation after that those 3 checkpoints. At that last one, it was like all 5 stations that Reef did and those of nations. So it's just a battle of getting through those and making that last run to the end to see TJ.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to Nerese for completing in that swimming challenge. We're gonna get to the second checkpoint where she, obviously had the struggle with scuba diving and kind of have to mentally go across her fears. But the first checkpoint they get to, I mean, between Emmanuel and Corey, basically, is what this checkpoint is basically, about. They run up to the hill, they get there, have to drink more of that tuna melt fish energy drink combo. I don't know what that crap was essentially, but literally they have to drink it at every checkpoint and they have to climb down the wall. I mean, we can just get to Corey because obviously Corey was, well, we get to Berna first because Berna came up there bitching and moaning, crying and hemming and hawing, and I can't do this and I can't finish this and give me anything else and I can't do this and blah, 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 and on and on and on, as Berna always does, and just complains and cries and then eventually does it if she is pushed up against the wall. She eventually finishes it. She throws it up. Okay, great. Like, you're in a final. There's no way that you can continue crying and carrying on at certain points in the game. It could have been early on in the season. I get it. You're mentally exhausted. At this point, you are actually mentally exhausted just because you didn't sleep all night and you just went through a whole day of challenges. I get it. But you're in a final, like you're trying to win money. This whole time that you've been complaining is to get to this moment. And the fact that every time we see Berna this week and last week, she's just crying and complaining. It's irritating because, like, girl, what did you think this was going to be? Did you think this was going to be the circus that you're usually in? I don't know what you wanted from this final, but it's not what you expect. If you think it's something, think 10 times worse. And I think Berna needs to get over that hump. I don't want to see her again, to be honest, but if she does come back, stop crying because you're getting on my nerves. Like, seriously.
What threw me off, this was really the first checkpoint of the day. She was like, I don't want to drink this because I don't want to throw up the whole day. It's the first thing you got to do before getting down the hill. You're crying over this? Like, she pissed me off. I'm like, hey, you just started the day. You didn't get sleep. I get it. Everybody didn't get sleep. And you're like, I don't want to drink it. Give me something else. No, ma'am. You have to drink that drink and put on your big girl panties and just get through it. I don't care if you gotta throw up the whole time. This is what you are in the. This is why you're in the final. You have to get through adversity. You can't keep crying through it because that's not gonna help anything, and it's not gonna help us like root for you as viewers. It really isn't. But it was funny because like Colleen was like, "You didn't even eat the food yesterday, so why are you crying about this right now? Like you cost me my time in the final, and you're crying about I don't want to drink this, I don't want to do it." That's a quitter's mentality. And this is why I don't like this group we have in the final, because some of them just be crying like, I don't want to do it. Well, you got to do it because you're in the final. Like, you're not quitting in the final like that over some minuscule things. Which leads me to Corey. How many height challenges have you done, sir, in your 2 seasons of the challenge? You see a cliff that isn't really that big in the first place. Like, and start boohoo crying, like, I'm afraid of heights. I can't get down this cliff. Luckily, like normally when people rappel down cliffs, they can't really see because they're facing the cliff. You at least have an advantage because you can look down and see where you're going. You'll be fine. That rope is steady. Why are you standing up there crying and having TJ have to like tell you you're not quitting? Nobody's quitting. This is the first freaking checkpoint. Pull up your big boy panties and get your ass on that rope.
I'm not sure what Corey's big ass was doing, but it really was honestly the spirit of Michaela and Darrell taking over in Corey. I don't know what that was. Like you said, we've seen him do multiple heights challenges, and we've never seen him cry or throw a fit in this manner. And the fact is, again, you're in a final. And Corey was talking all this, talk. I can do this. I want to be the first. I want to show my people something. Da, 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 da. You want to do all of this activism, and it's time to get activated, and you stuck. Like, be so honest with yourself, Corey. Like, please, I don't know what that stunt was, but I will say I'm glad TJ was like, listen, stop playing and get your ass up there and finish this. Like, look down and be for real with yourself. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Your ropes is gonna be steady. And then, TJ's lying, like, of course I'll come and get you if you get stuck. TJ's not going nowhere. Like, please. He's getting paid to literally just stand there and smile and, nod and say congratulations. So come on now. But honestly, like, I respect and thank TJ for doing that, just because at that point, Corey, what are you quitting for? Like, honestly, what are you quitting for? I'm not sure what that fear literally took a hold on him in that moment, but it was just really awkward to see. And, they start going down, and obviously everyone gets the opportunity to go down the wall. Nothing happened. You're fine. The most that happened to Corey was that he slipped and really couldn't get his footing at some times, and, was falling on his butt. But at least you're falling on your ass and not flat on your face. Like, you have some kind of ground that you can stand on to get through it. And honestly, once you get to the ground, clip it off and keep running. Like, it was not that big of a deal. I don't know what that was. And it was really just interesting to see TJ just grab him by his vest and was like, no, sweetie, you're coming back up here with us, like the rest of us. Like, you're gonna get through this. And I'm like, yo, at least somebody said it, because it seemed like no one could really talk to him. So we got through that portion. And then, Corey was like, all of a sudden at the other checkpoints, I can win this. I can do this. All right. Okay.
Give him an Oscar. Give him some type of reward because he was just I'm putting on the tears, and then okay, yeah, end scene. I can do this. Give him some type of reward because that was a performance. Um, so obviously Emmanuel was first getting down to the actual puzzle. And Colleen was next, Corey and Nerese ran down together. And then Brenna, because she finished that drink last, took her a while to make her way down. Emmanuel was really flying through all the checkpoints throughout this whole final. It's right off strong in this first one, where they had to get down to the tangerine puzzle. Shout out to Darrell, because I don't know. Sorry, shout out to Darrell, because tangerine puzzles, aka tangrams, be having people stuck. But Eman was not stuck. And Colleen was right behind him and getting that done. And they went off this checkpoint too. But Eman was really flying through the checkpoints.
I mean, I thought that he was going to get stuck in one of these challenges and puzzles just because he has been shown in daily challenges himself not to be the greatest at puzzles. So I was kind of surprised that he was flying through them, but he had such a time advantage that, eventually something would, shake and he'll get it together. So once he got through and Colleen, I kind of was surprised at Nerese at this checkpoint, to be honest, that she didn't get it because, Nerese, and I don't like this term because this is her second season that she's completed. She's not a puzzle queen. She's obviously had the advantage in the 2 eliminations that she won this season and beating, people in puzzles and getting through things. But puzzle queen is a little strong. We just saw this, sister. Rooting for you, I guess. But still, she's not a puzzle queen. Like she can do what she can do when she can do it. You feel me? So I was a little surprised though that she didn't get through that Tanagram puzzle, but it is what it is. She obviously timed out, and I was a little confused at the times because what times was happening? Like they never at any point kind of made it clear at what time made up for what time. It was honestly first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Like I didn't see any time. I didn't see anything about making up time. Like everyone kept talking about this time. And it seemed like time was an anomaly or a construct. Like it literally was just made up because everyone was just like first, second, third, or fourth. Where was the time?
We didn't get a timer on the screen. We got nothing. We barely got a timer on the screen. So it wasn't time for us as the viewer. And it was just, mentally, okay, we just got to make up relative time with one another. I guess. I don't know. But at checkpoint 2, this was where Nerese didn't quit. She was like, I gotta get under this water. I can't be diving like that. Like she had to exude some scuba Nelly energy to get under the water to see the board to memorize. She's like, oh, I'm good. Even though I can't really swim like that, I don't like diving. I could memorize this and still get through the puzzle because they had to memorize the challenge champions that were on the board and recreate that board on shore. And she was able to do that. But like I said, Emil just kept getting through these checkpoints with ease. And it was just about people catching up to him within the first checkpoints. Granted, we'll get to the very last one at the end where it took him a bit, but the second checkpoint, Maurice really took up and really made it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably the most challenging for me to watch Nerese because I was like, damn, when she got there, you can kind of see she got defeated by seeing that it was like a scuba contest and, got in her head. And earlier in the season, she was one of the ones who did not finish that challenge specifically. She just had a hard time going down in the water. She obviously stated her fears, but I think it was easier for her, not just because it was memorizing they look like to seem like a ladder there so that she can hold on, so she's not like holding on to a rope or doing it herself. So I think that also made it a bit easier for her. But I'm glad in that checkpoint, Nerys and Corey kind of teamed up and was like, hey, if Emmanuel's already in first place, Colleen is still struggling, and Colleen had got there second, but Colleen is struggling. Listen, me and you, we do this together. We could get second and third and keep it pushing. And that's what they did. Literally, once they realized, like, hey, we can help each other and get second and third and kind of catch up and at least win some money, they decided to team up. They ended up winning second and third and, kept going to the other checkpoint. And Colleen was there for a long time struggling off of just something that she could have just twisted around in one thing. She didn't notice it. And it wasn't until she saw Burner's board, and we're going to get into Berna just cheating this whole time. But we got to Berna's board where, she looked and saw where her mistake was. And then she ended up going to the other checkpoint. But I was glad that Nerys and Corey kind of like teamed up and was like, yo, listen, at this point in the stage of the game, we could either work together or we could work apart. What you want to do? But second and third is still out there for the kill. Let's kind of just, do what we got to do. And so once they get to the other side, and they get to that checkpoint of the last one, Nerys was like, listen, this is my wheelhouse. This is how I got 4 different people out of the challenge and 2 of the stronger people in Kylan and Horacio. Basically 5 puzzles like they had in that last section of Conquest and that elimination. 5 different puzzle stations, 5 different obstacles to get over. Who can finish it the first and get all their flags to the finish line and then keep moving. And Emmanuel gets there first, doesn't really know Sudoku, so he's stuck. And he was there for a long time, I would say. Like, Emmanuel had the advantage to at least finish the rest of the puzzles and then stick with just that Sudoku. Like, he waited so long until everyone else started to come and lap him. Like, Nerys and Corey came and they got 2 automatically. And he realized, like, hey, I'm not going to finish this if I don't at least get 1. So I got to do something. And he decided to go, and then he actually just cleaned the rest of those stations. Like, it was surprising because it's like you could have did this the whole time, honestly, when no one was there, and been able to just been stuck at that one station that had you in a chokehold. But I mean, this is what we're stuck with in terms of people who are on the challenge. Like, not the brightest crayons in the bunch, but they're in the bunch. I don't know.
Yeah. Because while he was still doing the Sudoku, Teresa and Corey got there. But Corey was struggling at a point when both him and Emmanuel were doing a seesaw. And Reese was just killing it. However, Corey also, that beam just had him done for. Because once Emmanuel started like picking up steam, getting through the rest of those stations, Corey was still stuck on that beam. And we see Emmanuel just run up that beam and go straight back to the Sudoku to try and finish it. And Corey took forever to try and even get over the beam on the first try. I'm like, do you not have balance like that? Like, run out to like be like, okay, this is what you gotta do. And he still couldn't do it for a good portion. And that cost him at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why he's also stated that he didn't really have balance on land. So I guess he really couldn't get it together. But it was honestly surprising because it's not that difficult. Like, you literally just use your momentum and just go through it. And Emmanuel was tightlining it and he got through it. Everyone was going, and literally he had 4 flags at that point. So this was his opportunity to get a win. Like, all this time he's been crying and struggling. He wants to do this. He wants to be the face of this and blah, blah, blah. And all you have to do is literally just cut the noise out, use your momentum, and beam across the beam, essentially. Like, I know we're making it sound, really easy, but honestly, we've seen so many people do this. I'm not sure where he got stuck at, but it was really honestly what cost him the game. And he really gave up in the end for me. Like, I didn't see any fight with him. I think he felt like he got defeated with that. But, before we get to the end of it, Colleen, I will say, Colleen came in probably towards the end where everyone had like three flags or three, checkpoints finished. And I was like, okay, like, let's see how she does it. And she was also at the Sudoku for a very long time. So I'm thinking, she may be stuck there for a little minute. She might not catch up at all. And surprisingly, Colleen was the first one to get that completed and then went on to just, go about the rest of the obstacles and finish it out. And Berna cheating because okay, first Berna went to one of the checkpoints that I think you had to count how many circles were in the box. I'm not sure what they were doing in that. I wasn't paying attention, but they had to do some kind of math. And Berna was like, I don't really know math. Like, I went to school for this. They didn't have math. I went to school for acting. They didn't have math. So I'm not a math girl. I'm not sure what school you go to that don't have math, but okay. Anyway, we get to her getting to the Sudoku, right? And this is supposed to be the hardest thing that anyone has seen this whole time. Colleen obviously finishes hers and leaves. Berna somehow magically is placed right next to Colleen because that's all the stations that were left. I'm not complaining about that. But her station was conveniently next to Colleen's. Colleen finishes, and then 2 seconds later, Berna is completely finished and skates off. And she's just like, no, I know it. I know it. I could do it. How? I'm not sure what kind of math came to your mind in that moment, but you're a cheater. And that's okay because honestly, I would have been okay with her just saying, yeah, I got to make up some time. Like, we're in a final. At this point, y'all was cheating at the last station. I'm going to do what I'm going to do over here. I would rather her say that and tell us the truth because we seen it rather than her lying and just say, no. Math just come to me. When you clearly didn't do math at any point in your life.
Make it make sense.
1 plus 1 is not 2 for that. It is not
it
2.
Is.
Like,
because Corey was like, you just cheated. And it's like, you cheated. Wow. Interesting. Like, we've been stuck on this. Emmanuel was still stuck on that. How you get that before him? How you get that? I'm confused. Very confused. But we all know she cheated. It is what it is. But she also did make up time with her flags eventually as well, but she was just stuck on that last one where everyone else finished and went off to the last run. So I'll give her props for eventually getting through that one in the fourth flag, but she was stuck on the last one. I think that was a stacking one she had to try and do. She just couldn't do that one really well, but everyone at least got 4 flags, and the top 3 got all 5. But it was like, oh, okay. This is everyone's still in it at some point, whether it is by cheating or by good merit. Everyone had 5 flags, or at least 4. So good on everybody for it, getting through that checkpoint for the most part. Because we didn't see her fully finish that her last one, but she was able to at least make it to the end.
Yeah, I'm sure she timed out eventually because, Norris and Corey had timed out on theirs and she had timed out on hers, previously too. So I'm sure at some point, once they get to it, she timed out and they just let her run to the final. But again, they all made it. So it is something to say for that. But yeah, I just thought that was strange for Berna to play like she was dumb. But, Colleen ended up winning. Norris, okay, Emmanuel gets his first. He gets it. He's running. He's off to the races. Norris finally gets the stacking. She gets it done. She's able to come back, finish her Sudoku, rest her mind, and she's able to complete it. She's off to now chase Emmanuel. And, I was hoping that she would at least get there, but, Emmanuel has a lot of endurance and stamina at this point in the game, and he had a head start, so I already knew what the writing on the wall was. But I will say I'm very happy that Norris was able to place and finish at a top spot in terms of being second, because all of the crap she went through this whole season, you know, it was kind of slow for Nerys in the first half of the season. Like she was very under the radar, very quiet, very much under Jay, Michelle, what they were doing. And then we seen her fall in love with Horacio and kind of was like she was not in the house at all until they started to target Horacio and Kylan and then, you know, started to get active. But Nerys played a very solid game to be honest. And like I said before, she stayed loyal to the people that she wanted to stay loyal to until they gave her no choice to. And so even with Colleen being the one to turn up and being able to switch on her and was the one that caused this whole downfall of her relationship, I'm glad she's able to get clarity on Jay, on Olivia, and how a lot of people in this house are. And I'm excited to see what's to come for her. But I mean, Nerys got second. I really can't complain in watching this because I was kind of like, damn, I just wanted her to just sweep this. Like, I'm rooting for her. I'm like, get it together, girl. Like, come on, because I'm tired of watching Emmanuel just beast this whole final. And I don't really care about Emmanuel. One thing I will say though, not about the grandma and the heaters and all that, whatever, congratulations. Um, Somebody on the crew ruined this for me earlier in the season. I never said anything because I either thought it was fake or I really just wanted to wipe it and Men in Black it from my mind. But somebody got their ass on Twitter earlier in the season and decided to ruin it and say something to the conclusion that Emmanuel had won and they work on the show. And I would like to just say to you, do you know what an NDA is? Because why would you ruin this for me? Because I already knew at this point. I'm watching it and I'm like, damn, Emmanuel, I remember this tweet. Emmanuel wins. Get your asses off of Twitter and stop ruining things for me. I'm gonna start with you, Raven, and I'm telling you again, don't get your ass on Twitter and tell me how you leave next time. I don't want to hear it. Whoever this sir was, I forgot. I don't know if I'll find the tweet because it was months ago at this point. But please get off of Twitter and stop telling us how things end. I don't follow spoiler pages for a reason. Stop spoiling this shit for me. Like, it's really irritating because why y'all doing this? Like, you work for the show. And I really forgot this tweet and I was going to call you out by name because that really pissed me off. Like, no funny. This was weeks ago. This is months ago at this point, and I forgot. Why would you get on Twitter and do this? You ruined this for me. Like, this season wasn't great, but damn, son. Like, come on. It really like clicked in my mind watching this. I was like, somebody had ruined this earlier for me, and they on this, and I was just like, damn you, sir.
I remember seeing that tweet. I don't know who it was either. But I remember I know it was a person. But I'm sorry. I have to you felt that in your soul. It was like this man right here.
You know how I do not follow spoiler pages. I mute everyone as I can. I'm not for it. Like, I'm trying to like watch it and enjoy it in my own space and time. Whenever I DVR and decide to watch it is when I decide to watch it. So I know the things when you go on Twitter, things are going to be revealed. I get it. I usually just scroll past it very quickly and I don't see anything. Or if I do see something, I kind of don't read into it. But I remember specifically, it wasn't even anything that was crazy. It was just this man really replied to the tweet and he really just ruined the whole show. Mind you, we was in week 7. We weren't even in week 27 like we in now. We was in week 7. So like, and you work for the show. Like, that's what stuck out to me is like, it's not no random spoiler page, whoever. Whatever. Bro. Stay off Twitter, y'all. Just stay off of Twitter or just stop telling us what's going to happen because you feel so inclined to. Like, I'm not understanding.
Okay. Well, I had an inkling that he won. Like, I saw it on the spoiler page, but I just didn't say nothing because I was like, what the hell is, like, how the hell did this happen? But as like we were watching the season, I was like, I see why. Because no one ever targeted Emmanuel the whole time. Like, he got his name put out there, but no one made a move. That's why his butt was skating to the final, because he was inflated with Jay, and he was just there. So I was like, oh, that's how he won against this group. That's amazing. But I was like, oh, when I saw that Norvege made a second, I was like, okay, let me see how this plays out. And lo and behold, I'm pleasantly surprised and excited that she made it second because people started making jokes like, oh, Reese are actual right people. Because when I saw the initial thing, people are like, oh no, Reese is actually the winner because that man is non-existent. That's how it was when I first saw the spoiler. Like, we don't care about that man. Oh, Reese is actually our actual winner. The first, they're like, oh, the first Latino winner. And I kept laughing at every single tweet. Cause I'm like, listen, hey, I get it. Because Maurice's had the better arc. If you want to say you want to be a champion in the battle for the next champion, someone who actually got in the sand had a good story arc. Not someone was just there and was having a whole bunch of women around him. You know, that's this whole story, this whole season.
And part of his story is he forgot he had a girlfriend. Like that's really his storyline this whole season is you had some kind of amnesia and forgot you had a girlfriend at home. But you could cry for your mom and your grandma, but you forgot you had a girlfriend at home. Like get on my face. He's actually we gonna skip him because he's actually disgusted me this whole time on Twitter as well with some of his comments and how he's reacted to women. But just know you may be in that little picture of a pantheon that they put up at the end, but we don't believe you. You need more people.
And Colleen made it. Her and Corey were in like a little rat race to get to the end, but she had more of a lead on Corey, and she ended up in third place, winning the 30K. Um, and Corey got fourth place. He was like, I had to finish. Yeah, you had to finish because you almost quit on the first checkpoint. I don't believe you, sir. I'm sorry. I don't.
I mean, Corey actually lost this third place because he finished his checkpoint before Colleen even finished hers. It was just him and that balance beam that got in the way. And at that point, he looked like he was giving up on himself. And I think once he saw Colleen finish, he kind of gave a defeated look and then was like, you know what, F it. I'm just going to keep going for it. And he got across the beam magically somehow after realizing that he could possibly catch up to Colleen and was able to finish. But I would hope that Corey comes back and is more confident in himself next time in what he's doing because he was boasting and talking about how he wanted to do this and wanted to be the first for this and wanted to lead the way. Well, if you're trying to be a leader, you have to lead. You can't quit. You can't just give up on yourself. You can't be so mentally diminished that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And at this point in the game, you have no fallback. Like you can't just go home and say Michelle's my number one and she's going to protect me. She's not here. So you got to figure it out. So if Corey decides to come back, if they ever call Corey back, bro, I would just say try to figure out what you're going to do to get over that mental hurdle that you had in this final because you know what it takes now. So I'll give him that. Also, don't wear that cheap red leather vest you had on this whole confessional. That Eddie Murphy delirious look wasn't giving. But I will say, you made it. So I more than what I thought he was going to. Because at some point in the season, I was just like, why is he even here, bro? Like, you're just taking up space, energy, airtime, and I don't even know what else. But he made it. He actually competed. He actually finished. Congratulations. Berna also, out of nowhere, like we said earlier, she had timed out, I guess, in her last checkpoint, but somehow made it to the end and ran. And so all of them were able to celebrate together that they actually made it to the final and they actually all finished. Again, where was the time? I don't know. But first, second, and third, that's all we got.
Yeah. So what's that? It was just funny too. Is how TJ was like, oh, he was. I feel like he was more excited when he saw Norris win and get second. He was like, he did the obligatory excitement with Emmanuel, but he was. I felt he was more excited to see Norris get to that point, and I was like, yay, because I had to put on my corporate voice, like, yeah, Emmanuel, congratulations. You're the first place winner. You won a 250K. Cool. Nerese, yay! You got it. You won. I would have that would have been better. Like it would have been much better of like an ending of this season if Nerese had won, or if it really was by partners.
Or if it was just men and women. I feel like the reason why we are so lopsided in the way that we are with the term in men's and women's is that when we do have, individual, typically the men are finishing first. And I think the last couple of times, if it's not been partners, it's been two winners, either a man or a woman finishing. So, I mean, I feel like Nerese was at least should have been in that section of being a woman challenger and that finished. But I understand we want to fight for equality and have equal rights. Okay, Emmanuel finished first, technically. Cool. No problem. But Nerese knows for next time what to do, how to move. And so I'm confident that she'll be able to come back because this is impressive for her second season to go through what she's been through and to get to this point and finish second. So, congratulations to Nerese for actually placing and almost winning, but not quite.
Yes. And with that, that is the recap for this episode. Next week is gonna get fun. The reunion, that's gonna be sad because that's gonna give us some more drama that we've seen in the latter half of this whole season. Because we had Kylan popping off at a soft, Nerese saying respect me, Michelle, shut the fuck up. Tori had to get something in with Kara. Not excited for that moment, but yeah, next the reunion's gonna be good for the most part, so I'm excited for that. And with that, we're gonna get into the tweets from this week's episode. First one, Mariah's challenge legacy is losing 3 eliminations in 2 seasons, and she is still warming up to the cameras after 2 seasons.
I mean, if she's not under someone, then maybe we can get more Mariah airtime, but we'll see. I do like Mariah though. I feel like she's, like I said, she's a little bit of an ick me that rhymes with a pick, you know. But still, sister, we're here for you.
Yeah, like she's not too bad. She's not like boring. She's not like Casey where she's boring, but she just needs to give us a little bit more something that has had nothing to do with the guy. Because like she had a good season socially, but she had somebody with her, and I just want to see her actually be herself, be be a competitor by herself, and play for her own self. So we'll see if she ends up coming back. The next tweet. Damn, Corey. Defeated by a balance beam. Appreciate you for eliminating Jay, though.
Yeah, that was
Great
his
to
only
him.
upside this season. So, congratulations.
Yeah. The next one. TJ didn't even seem excited that Emmanuel won. Aren't we all?
Yeah, I didn't even notice, to be honest, but I mean, he was just hugging on TJ, and TJ was like, "Okay, I guess because I'm the only one here." But yeah, I'm sure he was because he understood what Nerese had went through in those eliminations.
Yeah. And so you don't have to be a champ to be a champ. At least Nerese sent 5 people home. Emmanuel sucked body parts all season.
Again, I mean, the true winner we know is Nerese. I will say that. Like, it is what it is with the front facing of it and what we watched, but I do think that Nerese should be really proud of herself in getting that far.
Yeah, and that's actually the last tweet. I want to say, hey, I didn't like this season, and we've chronicled it throughout this whole season. It was unbearable. The first half was horrible. The middle, it was weird. But the last part of the season, it had actual drama, and I was excited for that. That was the only thing that was entertaining. And then having this winner is the epitome of that.
Yeah, I'll give this season like a 5.5 out of 10. I just think that coming into it with the Jay and Michelle storyline and them hoarding up this whole social game and it not really being able to affect the rest of the game essentially and just holding it up and how people played, it just didn't like read well watching it consistently. I think also I get the point of them having this on TV, but we need to cut this down like exponentially. Like there's no reason why we are almost in March and this show is still going on. Like this is sick actually in the head because it was no reason for it to be this long for this amount of time and for a lack of drama an hour and a half every single week. Like give it a break. But I do like the champs coming in stirring things up, you know, the return of Kara I would say was probably a highlight of this season and, you know, obviously towards the latter end, Nerese figuring out was it like great drama? It was okay. I think Olivia flipping was probably the most jarring thing of this season, but I'll just give it a solid 5.5 out of 10. Didn't really move me, didn't really like make me want to completely turn off the TV, but still, I feel like cut down the episodes. Let's get some more people who actually want to compete or play a game and then we'll see how this goes. And I think season 40, hopefully something better comes. I know that the cast will be a little bit different just because of the number that they're at. So I'm hoping that it reads a little bit better on the TV. And hopefully we get All Stars this summer.
Well, I feel like by the time All Stars comes out, Cam's baby's gonna be here. Like be a couple months old at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say I think she's going into labor soon. So yeah, that'll be the case.
Yeah, so congratulations once again to Cam, but damn, like a whole year, basically a whole year that we had them film it, it is still not out. I don't know what they're waiting on, but we'll get it eventually. Um, and yeah. Also, if you're watching Traders, CT is still there, so that's so cool. We still have people.
Yeah, I mean, we still have 2 more episodes to go in terms of what we're wrapping up, but we are watching Traders. I feel like we're gonna put Grant's YouTube when he comes back on. He's recapping Traders, so if you would like, I feel like if you have Peacock, you should watch Traders for sure because it is exponentially better reality TV than what we have been taking place on the challenge. But we're still going to watch and we're still going to be here. So thank you guys for listening. If you would like to follow us on Twitter and not spoil anything, you can at Duel Alliance Pod. You can follow Megan at Megs and Hines. You can follow myself at Ace_S5. And if you're listening, you can watch this on YouTube at Duel Alliance Podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, get the algorithms rhythming, and we will be back to conclude the show next week. Bye, guys.
See y'all.